What's going on, family? Johnny Foxshot here, and today I'm going to be getting a little bit more personal than I have in my other videos. I'm sure some of you have felt like, I get that he likes music, but what is he really doing here? Well, today, hopefully I'm going to clear some of that up. But in order to do that, we're going to have to start from the beginning. Growing up, my dad was in the military, so I moved around a lot. My childhood was pretty much consumed by the country music hits of the 80s and 90s. And for the most hipster part of my dad's life, bluegrass music. That's pretty much all my parents listened to, and it really didn't grasp my attention. Because we lived in a military base, I got to make friends with people from all over the country. When I would visit at my friend's house, their families would be playing all kinds of different music I wasn't familiar with. I remember being the kid that annoyed their friends with always asking, who sings this song? Does all their music sound like this? I really couldn't get enough of it. When I became a teenager, music turned into my entire life. This was also the same time that my lifelong battle with suicidal depression began. Music turned into my religion. Every emotion I couldn't process, music was there for me. All the nights my eyes burned a hole through the ceiling, music was there for me. I graduated, joined the military, and went on 2 different deployments. One bad one and one as good as it really can be. And that's when my new best friend, PTSD, enters my world. And of course, I completely ignored it like all 21-year-olds do. Of course, this isn't happening to me. That's for the other guys over there. Right. I've attempted suicide a few times in my life. And when I came back from Iraq, things were really tough. I remember waking up after a failed attempt and listening to December Underground on my front porch in the middle of winter, just chain smoking cigarettes, and just listened to that album over and over again. I didn't really care how cold it was. That was really the day when music started to become the thing that saved my life. I'm not going to lie to you and say that that was the end of the attempts, but it was the time that I started to remind myself that this wasn't the answer. December Underground is right here. What separates me from you, to live and not to breathe, is to die in tragedy. Those albums have saved my life more times than I can even count. But it did not stop with just a couple of albums, because this is a daily problem we're talking about here. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I've kind of always had an ear for multiple genres. If there's guitars, drums, and a bass, I'm probably interested. Well, unless it's country music. I do not do that. Nor do I really venture onto the pop charts. We'll get into my issues with the music industry in a different video. But when it comes to my relationship with music, not only did it change, it became the most important thing for my mental health. It became my most necessary relationship. Music affects me so much. I am the guy who picks out a song to wake up to every day. I am the guy who judges you on what your taste in music is, especially if all you listen to is pop or country music. It does tell a lot about a person, but we'll get into that some other time. I am definitely the friend who is trying to put you onto some band that you've never heard of. I am the guy who stresses a lot about what songs to play in the car from point A to point B. All right, how many songs can we fit in the playlist? All right, we got 12 minutes. It's about 3 or 4 songs, depending on how long they are. Okay, cool. But are they going to talk through it? Let's take a break right here and address the talking over music thing. Do you hate it when people talk through the movie you're watching? Just asking. Always pause the music if you're going to interrupt this piece of art that somebody poured their entire soul into. This message has been brought to you in part by All Music Lovers Incorporated. Don't be a dick, just zip the lip. And of course, there's always the science behind the healing effects that music gives to people. Like when you're feeling down or sad, sometimes an uplifting song can make you feel better. Unfortunately, that doesn't really affect me. Most of the happy songs are the ones that I can't stand the most. If you are a fan of Patton Oswalt, he has this joke about that he's never felt more suicidal than hearing Toto's Africa in a grocery store. That's your boy. But not about Africa. I love that song. But the same point of the music that you hear in the grocery store sometimes, that is me 100%. If I hear How to Save a Life by The Fray on the wrong day, it can get pretty bad for me. But I say all that to say this. Every single day there is a song that saves my life. A moment where I feel alive. My personal battle with depression and suicide has been a losing one more days than not. But every single day, a song will remind me, if not for just a moment in time, that I have to keep fighting. And this is never the answer. I never know what song that's going to be, or what genre it's going to be, or where in the rainbow of rock it's going to come from. All I know is that I can't stop searching because I'm going to need that song tomorrow. I am so grateful for these incredibly talented musicians and these brave artists that create and share that art with the world. What they do can and does mean everything to somebody. And if you're struggling today, we love you. You're not alone, and I'll see you tomorrow.